Hey CJ, how you doing? I was just reading through your written rationale here, and thank you very much. This is very complete. A thorough written rationale that accompanies any assignment is going to help your instructor ascertain your level of understanding. So I highly encourage students to always include a very detailed written rationale with the sorry, I'm trying to move out of the sun. It's getting me right in the eye. With any of your assignments, include a very detailed written rationale describing your conceptual development, your methodology, and your thought process associated with the assignment itself. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Please keep that up as we move through the class. CJ, this is a good ad. It's very, very good. Page mechanics are solid. I think the simplicity of it is just it rings success. It's easy. It's accessible. It's inviting. The hierarchy is pretty good. We're going to work on that to improve it. And general page mechanics and visual harmony are darn good. So let's do this. Okay. We've got the headline. The headline looks like it's got a white stroke on it. I do not recommend stroking type at all. As a designer, I don't do that. And if you take a look at next week's announcements, I'll give an announcement there as to the reasons why it's not advantageous to stroke type. But I would not include a stroke on that type. So what I would do with the headline is I would left align it. I would recommend that we left align all of your type. Left align brag right. It's opposed to centering because centering does not activate or engage the negative space associated with the area around the type. It's symmetry on both sides, which, as we know, is see that how it's symmetrical on both sides. It's just not interesting. Left aligned brag right allows the negative space to create interesting shapes and ultimately resulting in a much more comfortable and engaging visual demeanor for the page. So what I recommend is let's go ahead and establish your left margin. Let's say it's right around there somewhere. Go ahead and reformat that type and left align it. I would also recommend that you reduce the leading. That's the space between these two lines. I would bring this second line a little bit closer to the first. Left align. Okay. Then I would take this subhead and I would reduce the size of it. I'd say, boy, it's really large right now. It's giving the headline a run for the money in terms of hierarchy because it's as big. It takes up the same amount of space, and we know that as hierarchy we move down the page, lesser items of hierarchy should not consume the same amount of space. So let's reduce the point size of that type by 20-30%. And then left align that. Watch my cursor. Here's what the relationship should look like. Something like that. So you have headline, subhead, both left aligned. Follow that margin down the page, and then align your type with that. I'm sorry, your contact information. Also, contact information, don't forget, you want to include the location as well as the address. Location, the U.S. Virgin Islands, it's important stuff. I think that really adds a lot to the ad itself. I mean, after all, it is U.S. Virgin Islands. People look differently at something that's maybe U.S. Virgin Islands than they would at South Carolina or Florida because it's not as accessible, right? So I recommend that you definitely add the location and the contact information in its entirety down here. Following that left margin until decreasing the type size for the contact information. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that this logo right down here, leave it there. That's a great placement for the logo. But what we're going to do with the body copy is we're going to move it up a little bit to about here. What I would do is I take this logo. However, if you may have to resize that logo when you resize this type down here, but follow that left side of the logo up and start your text box in alignment with the left side of the logo. Text box maybe something like that. Right above the flip-flops, not next to the flip-flops, because right now it looks like this is a caption for the flip-flops. So above the flip-flops, and then what I would do is I would reduce the size of the flip-flops. I think the flip-flops are garnering too much. They're wanting too much attention. I think that we should reduce the size of those so that the hierarchy lies on headline, subhead, then down the line till we get to the flip-flops, then we get to the body copy. Okay, so those are my recommendations. I think try it, and then also don't forget left aligned on that body copy here. So all of your type is left aligned. You got this nice left margin established. Make sure left and right margins are close to the same. You won't be able to. The logo itself is going to go to the edge of the page though. So just make sure where this type starts is equidistant from the edge of the page for where this type ends. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Other than that, I think it's a fantastic start. I'm really looking forward to this. Another thing you might try to do is try to bring this a little bit. These like really blue flip flops. If you do a color adjustment on here, a hue saturation adjustment layer, you can probably bring the blue part of these flip flops closer to one of these colors in the sky here. And I think that would really add some harmony. Right now, the only thing that stands off the page and isn't really harmonious is the flip-flops, and that's just based on the color of that blue because it's not like or similar to anything else in the ad. So, all right, those are my recommendations, and this is a fantastic start, CJ. Good job. If you have any questions at all, please let me know, but I'd like to see those changes being addressed sooner. I mean, if you address those changes now, you can include them in your banner ad. Otherwise, if you make these changes later on in the class, that the banner ad might not be indicative of the changes made in the magazine ad, so we'll lose a little bit of visual consistency in the campaign itself. So in a perfect world, you'll have a chance to make these changes before you start your banner ad. And if you want to run anything by me or have me look at anything for comments, please feel free. I'll be more than glad to do so. All right, CJ, great job. Thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions.